I was born December 30th, 1991 in Bennington, Vermont. My father is Chris Davis and my mom is Sheila Rayner. I was supposed to be an only child. That didn't work out. My dad was 16 years older than my mother at the time when they first met, and he had already had a previous marriage and a son who was a lot older than me. My half-brother, kind of a screw-up, not even going to bring that into the discussion. My mom really wanted a child of her own, so my dad finally gave in. And it took 3 years for her to get pregnant with me, so my dad thought he was off the hook. Spoiler alert, I came out. And then they just didn't really use protection, and then they got pregnant with my brother, so I could have had a lot more toys, but that's not how it turned out at all. Even though I love him, I swear, I really do. It really bothered me. My parents never got married. My dad didn't want to do the whole divorce thing just in case again, and my mom didn't really care because she grew up in the 70s, very liberal. And it really bugged me going to Shasbury Elementary when all my kids that I knew in my class, their parents were married. Don't know why it bothered me so much, but it did. That my mom had the last name of Rayner. Brother and I were very close growing up. We fought a lot, but we were very close. We're very close now. We actually go to the same school, Clark University, which is where I'm driving back from at the moment on the Mass Pike, which is why it's so loud. I've done pretty well in school so far. Very normal upbringing. My mom always wanted me to get good grades. She made sure I went to college, even though she and my father both didn't. My dad didn't even graduate high school. He actually got a GED a couple years after dropping out at 16. He moved to Florida to support his family. He had 6 brothers. And he was also in Vietnam.
And we're back.
I'm going to take the ticket.
Thank you.
How's it going? Thanks for coming.
When I was, let me think, maybe 10 years old, we got a fresh batch of new neighbors who are like family. The other ones were crazy, Christian, religious, holy rollers. They scared the ever-loving Christ out of me. And they were very mean, honestly. They weren't even allowed to come to our house because they judged us for not being religious. So that was kind of mean.
1 mile, keep left.
And then Danielle and Richard Crozier moved next door with their lovely child Siobhan, Abby, and Rebecca. Siobhan was a weird one. She came over next door, first time I met her, started jumping up and down and spelling out her own name for us. We didn't even know where she wandered off from. Super weird. And thus started a great relationship with my second family. What else? Middle school, very normal. When I was in 5th grade, my mom got skin cancer, melanoma. She had a cancerous mole on her leg, and so they did surgery. Everything was fine. She went to rehab over that summer when I was in 5th grade, and everything was okay. And a couple years later, when I was in 9th grade, the cancer came back as a brain tumor, and it just kind of went downhill from then. So yeah, my mom got cancer again, had a brain tumor. We actually went to New York City to Sloan Kettering, which is one of the top cancer hospitals in the country. And she made it a really nice trip. We went on the Strip. We saw Lion King on Broadway. That was really great. And they shrunk the tumor with a laser, which is as freaky as it sounds, I'm assuming. And it was back and forth on chemo for a while until 10th grade. When I was in 10th grade, I just turned 16, and they gave her a month later a terminal diagnosis, and she died 2.5 weeks later on February 9th, 2008, which really, I didn't go on like it bothered me in front of other people, and I didn't show a lot of emotion, but it was not a good time for me. I'm assuming it was not a good time for anyone in my family, and that was probably the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life. I was dating a boy named Steven at the time. We had been dating for about 2.5, 3 years, and he helped me through that a lot. I lost a couple friendships because they just didn't understand the place I was in my life, and I feel like I didn't have much more of a childhood in high school after that. And I think I probably got a little depressed. I think we all got a little depressed, but yeah, so that's just something I had to cope with, and I still have to cope with, and it gets easier every day. But it still sucks really, really bad, and I miss her a lot. Then I met Jeff, who I was already friends with. I was pretty good friends with him, and then I started dating him a couple months after my breakup, and we're still together. It's been a little over 5 years, and we haven't killed each other yet, so I'm pretty sure I love him. Pretty sure he loves me too, so that's good. Right now we're both living in Worcester, Massachusetts, where I'm finishing up my grad school. So yes, I did graduate with my bachelor's within 4 years, which is great. And currently I am completing my master's degree in professional communications, which is about the only thing I can think of where I don't have to do math that will give me a job in this economy. So that's good. I think after this, though, we're going to move back to Vermont because Massachusetts is just the worst. Just the worst. And we're probably going to move to Burlington, Vermont, for him going to UVM. And dear God, I hope I find a job. Because if not, I'm going to be living in a box. Because that's just every college graduate right now can't find anything to do. It's a real fun thing I'm working with right now. Yeah, one really weird thing, I guess I couldn't have gotten through life very well without being clinically depressed if it wasn't for the lovely Crozier neighbors I have. They gave me a lot of food, honestly, and they brought me on a lot of vacations, which is super nice. Always going to Maine with them, and the beach and camping. It was lovely. Even though their kids are totally weird, but I don't have to tell you that. What else has happened in my life? I used to play soccer. I really regret quitting in high school. I shouldn't have done that. Not only for my waistline, but it would have been a really nice thing to put on my resume. Probably gotten more scholarships. It was pretty good. My dad really only paid attention to my brother and I when we were playing sports, which is probably not very healthy, but it's super, very dad of him, I guess, especially for being so old, which he's like 65 this year, which is ridiculous. And I worry about him because he smokes a lot, and that's not good, and he probably has lung cancer by now and won't go to the doctor. He's sort of a man's man like that, so it's just a matter of time. But he did find, he dated around a while. I think it was super awkward for him because he was very depressed after my mother's death. And he dated around a little, but I don't think he wanted to upset Brian and I, that's my brother, which it didn't because he needs companionship, especially when he's getting older, and I'm going off to college, and so is Brian. So he dated a couple people, didn't work out, and then he found Mel, who was lovely, and I love her, and she's very good for my dad. She's 52 maybe, so she's younger by quite a bit as well. I don't know why my dad finds all these younger women, but kudos to him, I guess. And I think they have broken up 2 or 3 times. So my dad feels very weird about her moving in. He doesn't want to take her to take my mom's place, and I understand that, but finally I honestly had like a 2-hour discussion with him about how ridiculous he was being. And now they're together again, so all is well. So I'll be seeing the both of them when I go home. I worry about my brother a lot. He's not as on task when it comes to things, and he procrastinates, and he worries me. I don't know what he's doing with his life. He wanted to go into college for physics, and now it's in philosophy, so that's not stable. That's not a good idea. I mean, I'm an English major, but I paired it with communications and sociology. I back that up. But he scares the crap out of me. What else? I definitely have an obsession with Harry Potter. That might not sound like something that directly involves my personality, but I definitely think it does. I think it helped me cope with death a lot better, and I would love to write a best-selling novel series one day, which comes with equal parts talent and luck. So we'll see how that works out. But that's not really something that pays the bills. So we're going to try and go into marketing once I move to Burlington, because right now I am waiting tables at the 99 restaurant. And yes, it's as awful as it sounds. Dear God, it's as awful as it sounds. I make good money, which is nice, but it's stressful, and my feet hurt a lot, and no amount of Dr. Scholl's can put a stop to how much my feet hurt after a double. It's just terrible. And the people in Worcester are very rude, and they stiff you a lot. So that's not very... It's not me. I'm adorable, let's be honest. It's definitely not me.